can't believe I'm regretting not watching more isekai anime. How the heck do I get back to the real world? Oh.
Born under the moon, and its silvery light offered to the night sky, where I was born. The family gathered to welcome the newborn. His eyes open to the moon. I stare out at the sky. Born under a silver moon, its curse crawls within. Born under a silver moon, its light burns my skin. Howling in the moonlight, screaming in the darkness, fearful of the wild ones, making the animals hide. Prowling in the night, like a long lost soul, searching for your home as your skin turns cold. Born under a silver moon, its curse crawls within. Born under a silver moon, its light burns my skin.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Good morning, everyone. Wherever you are, welcome to the Monkey Show, Season 2, Episode 6. supposedly. Hopefully, wherever you are, you're doing well. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And we've got some interesting things to talk about. Hopefully, not won't bore you to death with what we're talking about. I've got some work to do, some coloring, some lettering, and I woke up about an hour ago and I thought, okay, let's talk about this thing that I've been putting off talking about, which is the Reckless Ben and Brian, I think is the name of the person whose actual $200,000 US what is it called, inheritance that was stolen from him, which was supposed to be sold on consignment. So we'll be looking at that, and I'll play the video from the news. Right, there's actually made the national news of the US, which is this one here. So let me just grab the link for everybody in the chat so you guys can watch this at your own leisure, in your own time later on if you need to relate back to it. But I've been following this for a couple of weeks now. It's not something that I've just
Producer Joey here
jumped onto, and as producer Joey is going to tell us more about in a minute. That even it's made it to national news about, I think yesterday, because today it's like 5th in New Zealand here. So the weird thing is, like, with this is that it's been going on for around 2 years now, since 2024. It's not something new. It's only hit the waves, the internet waves, if that's what you want to call it, in the last couple of weeks because of a Reckless Ben's documentary, which is like this. I think there's a third part about to come out. You can join on his Patreon. I've been just following the YouTube thing. So, let's hear it from the actual news broadcast, because obviously they've got him in there. They're going to talk about it in more detail. So while that's happening, I'll do some work and we'll come back to it and discuss it on and off.
Well, we all want to leave something behind to our children and grandchildren, and for the Mansell family, that was a small fortune worth of Lego Star Wars. Yes, 780 sets and more than 1,200 minifigures that they gave to their local Bricks MiniFigs store in Salem, Oregon to sell on consignment. That store was taken over by new owners that the Mansells allege did not pay out that fair share. All of this was discovered by an investigator named Reckless Ben, and I will let the rest of the context come from his video.
The family reached out to me saying that I'm their last hope to get them their life savings back. The video I made exposing them was actually insane. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But
all right, well, we'll let our audience do that on their own. But Ben joins us right now to give us the very latest on the case. Ben, how are you doing?
It's good. How are you?
I am good, my friend. So, as for Bricks MiniFigs, we reached out to them. They pointed us to their latest statement. There's another one coming, obviously, as this story continues. But they said that these kinds of consignment agreements that the Mansells made with the previous owners are not legal under what Bricks MiniFigs allows franchisees to do. Now, when the Mansells sold this,
I'm gonna stop here because I've worked with franchises, right? One of the major big franchise stores that I worked for was one called Tile Warehouse in New Zealand here, right? One of the biggest. It's a flooring and wall tile, chemicals for and paste and all that for putting your tile on the floor and stuff. And you can have outside items there in small quantities and stuff. And if you have leftover stuff from somebody's job, you can do that. And this is something that we'll find out, that it's okay for people to sell on behalf of people in any store. Like with my comic store, right? If somebody came in and said, hey, I want to, I've got this really expensive comic. I don't have the time and energy to sell it or whatever, right? Can you sell this comic for me in your store? And I'll be like, sure, but I will take a percentage, because it's going to take my, not only is it going to take away from me selling my own comic books, which means I'll, get 50% profit or whatever it is, right? The margin that I'm allowed to make. Because all of those, comics come with like recommended retail price. You can't oversell past that, whatever amount that's on that price. So if somebody comes and goes, hey, mate, can you sell this comic that I have, say ASM number, 1, whatever, or number 15 or whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever number it is. I would go, okay, here's what I'm going to take off the top. Here's what you're going to get. And here's our legal documentation saying that. Nowadays, you just have a videotape of that, right? You just get your mobile phone out. Hey, mate, here it is. And as we'll find out, that the former franchisees actually did that with a new franchisee owner who took over from that and said, hey, look, we've got this concise, we're selling on behalf. We've got this quantity of stuff. We've sold some. We've given them their money, which is, I think at that point was $19,000. So still around about $180,000 worth of stuff still there. And so the guy took over and said, yeah, we'll take it on board. And it's on camera. It is on store security camera, right, of that. But I'm going to play some videos later where it's going to say like, oh, we didn't take it on board. It's against our policy and stuff. It doesn't make sense, man. Like supposedly the guy who's a new franchisee owner, right, for the last 2 years, is close friends with the CEO. So the CEO is putting his neck out for the so-called close friend who's a new franchisee owner. And that's what. And he's basically destroying his own company over this $200,000 worth of Lego that doesn't belong to him, doesn't belong to any of them. It belongs to this old man who's leaving it as an inheritance to his children. And that's very sad because that's something I've put down as well as part of my contract. That like in certain areas that this is who this is going to. I have sent details to the family member or the parent of the family member, right? And said, hey, this is who's getting what out of me, from my own, what I own, if I pass away, and if before I am able to hand them out, right? Whatever. And so the father here is so old and sickly that the son hasn't even told the dad that, hey, this has happened to us, right? I took it to the shop. They're selling on a behalf, and there's some dodgy stuff happened, and they've kept the Legos that they haven't sold, right? And so the dad didn't even know for the past 2 years that his collection, $200,000 of antique, vintage Lego collection. And by the way, I'm bringing this up because I'm a Lego collector, right? I am, I don't go hunt them out, shop to shop, that thing, or private, all that. But I do buy them at auction. And I do have a lot of them. And I don't buy, the last one I bought brand new was a Lego Batman that I even, the blue animated car that I haven't even put together yet. Actually there might be some after that. But yeah, I've got like tons of it. And I just feel like for this family, it's like, dude, this is your inheritance, and they've just stolen your inheritance, man. How are you going to feel? And he's had to fight this for 2 years, trying to get it back. And if it wasn't for Ben, if he didn't reach out for Ben, right, this dude here, nobody would know about this publicly. It's reached the entire world, right? Here, I'm in New Zealand talking about it. There's a German store guy with similar name. He's getting hassled because they think that he's part of it as well. Because now it's the internet, right? The internet's doing what the internet does, which is like, yo, man, we think you're a thief. And a lot of people don't realize that it's better to deal with it privately and honestly than to let the internet deal with it. And sometimes, to be honest, it's actually better to let the internet deal with it because then all the truth comes out, right? It's better to deal with it publicly sometimes, you know, if it gets to a point where the parties cannot deal with it privately. They just throw it to the dogs, as they say, right? Let the dogs fight over the bones. And I think a lot of people, you know, are starting to see people who have been negligent in private contracts and private dealings, who will soon, or have been seen, you know, in the past, have been seen to be shitbags, like the CEO and like this new franchisee owner, Josh, and the CEO, Amon, right? McNeef. And it's quite sad to see people, you know, in good faith, have products stolen from them, have contracts abused, have people go out and make money off that, and yet say, well, we're not in the wrong. You know, send emails to franchisees and say, hey, dude, you know, or their workers say, hey, dude, no, we're in the right here. This is how you deal with this. This is just a YouTuber, so don't worry about him just because he's a YouTuber. He's nobody, right? Yeah, but a YouTuber just can't make shit up because there's legal repercussions. And this is what we'll learn from this.
Massive Lego collection to their local shop, and the local shop said they would sell it on consignment. Was there any kind of idea or warning?
Bricks and Minifigs is going to say that this consignment wasn't even allowed, and that's why they're allowed to take it. But that's the worst argument ever, just because that's really none of Brian's business or my business, whether the consignment was allowed or not allowed. I think they're just trying to take away from the fact that they took this Lego Star Wars collection without paying for it. Because whether it's allowed, if this consignment is allowed and he gave them the Legos, they didn't pay for it, that's illegal. If it wasn't allowed and he gave them the Legos and they didn't pay for it, that's still illegal. So it literally doesn't matter either way if it was allowed or not allowed. At the end of the day, Brian gave this store $200,000 worth of his Legos, and then he only got paid a tiny, tiny amount back. So, and once the new owners took over, they didn't pay him anything. So that really doesn't matter at all.
As things get crazy between you.
And another thing, right? So early in, like about 1994, 5, I actually myself took my comics, like a couple of my comics early on, because there wasn't a comic store in Whangarei here way back then. And so there was a pop-up store that was selling, you know, some comics and some cards and stuff, pop culture items. And so I'd actually taken my comic book and said, hey, you know, a couple of them said, can you sell this on my behalf? And I actually, if Trade Me and eBay type stuff had been around that time, I would have made at least 5 times the amount I was getting. So I only got like about $20 for $5 comics, right? Which I was happy with because I needed the money. But turns out I could have, you know, if it were at a different time, I could have made more money, right? Like now I could have made like $100 or $1,000 or $2,000 to $3,000 for those comic books because they're like the early, you know, 90s X-Men. But one thing that's really good about this whole thing coming to light, and I'm hoping that like more people actually do this sort of bring to light these sort of things, because it sucks people stealing your inheritance, man. I've been watching a lot of videos. My friend who hangs out in, hey Jim, yeah, I'm just doing this work mode this morning. I'm doing some coloring and stuff, and then later on we'll do your you know, we got the other show, the art show. This is just like a Lego thing I wanted to cover. Sweet dude, yeah, all good. But yeah, it's just that like I haven't been yesterday I was trying to do some work. I didn't get around to do some work, and I thought, well, let's cover this because this is something that's, you know, as a toy collector myself, I found like, you know, quite sad, because someone like, you know, I have a business, I have a large amount of like pop culture collection. I've, you know, stuff that I like to leave to my you know, as an inheritance to my loved ones, right? To my nephews and nieces and say, hey, here's something for you to set up for yourself to sell or keep as a reminder of me, because I don't have children. If I had children, they'll be left to my children, right? And maybe someday I might, but I'm 53 now, so there's no possibility of me settling down for have kids, even though I always wanted to have kids. But anyway, like losing, in good faith. I love how people, have gone out of the way. I just noticed $7,000 here. Maybe it's the franchisee owner, right? But I mean, these are people like really going out of their way to support, right? This goal was for 200,000 to get money back. Now it's actually gone up to 350. Now it's enough for them to fight legally, right, with the monies as well from this GoFundMe or whatever this is, and it's all legal. This is this is the thing that the Bricks and Minifigs CEO is like, oh, it's all they're threatening people, they sending out death threats, they're doing this, bro. This is a legal matter that you're turning into a farce, into a circus, and it's only only harming yourself and your franchise. And some people are shitbags like this person, right? I know people personally who are shitbags like this CEO and this franchisee dude, right? Represented here by this face.
And the American Fork Police Department and Bricks and Minifigs, we are wondering about Brian now that he's been made whole. What are the words that he is saying?
He is beyond grateful right now. It's crazy because he's been doing this for 2 years, and he's done everything in his power to try and get either the Legos back or reimbursed or even just answers. And after about a year and a half of this, like before he contacted me, he was just completely given up. He had to resort to, he would constantly be having anxiety attacks, going to the hospital. He had to get put on medication, and he was just given up at this point. And then now that all this has happened, I think he finally just accepted the reality that he lost. But now that this is all happening, it's like no one ever pictured that well, we all thought oh, we'll get some audience support and maybe we can get some of the money back, but we never thought it was going to go this great. We're going to get it back plus more for lawyers' fees. So it's just been crazy.
Well, the thing is that this is people's good faith in supporting this family, right? And supporting Reckless Band, right? To fight this. They're not getting it back from the friggin' company that stole their stuff. But they have now enough money to fight that company to get that money back as well. But there are shitbag people like this out there in companies, right? Or that leave companies and take things that belong to that company. And because not every company is a shitbag company. And I think a lot of people get confused with every company is out to get people, right? No, because sometimes there are shitbags in that company that actually are out to get people, right? Because money makes people go do crazy things. And like the Bible says, right, the root of all evil is money, not money itself, but the root of evil is money, right? Because it's greed. It's really greed. And this person represented, right, Josh Johnson, right? I think it's Josh Johnson. Yeah, Joshua Johnson, right, represented here, right? Stealing a family's life savings, man. $200,000 US is almost 400K New Zealand. That's a house. That's a very modern, very 3-bedroom home. Right, that sets you up for life with a home. I have a friend whose grandfather, right? He was raised by his parents. His grandparents, and before his granddad passed, paid off, used his inheritance and paid out the rest of the used inheritance money to pay off the entire house that he'd been paying off himself, that he'd been living in. Renting, paying off the mortgage himself with this rent money. And but then his granddad was like, I better sort this out because I'm very ill. I might, and I might leave my grandson who's been loyal to me and has looked after, I wanted to make sure he's looked after right after I'm gone. And it just paid out his, paid out his home. But now, it's up to my friend to make sure it's all, his inheritance, his home is taken care of, But these people still haven't, this company is still fighting it for 2 years, man. The struggle, And there are people like this, like we know people like this, right? Everybody knows people like this who are greedy, who are scumbags, who, if you don't have the money to fight them, through the courts, will just keep freaking draining you of all energy and make you regret ever helping them or doing business with them, right?
Easy. And then if we go to court with Bricks and Minifigs, we'll also get to find out all the answers of like why they stole all the Legos.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, when you go and do business in good faith, as Brian did, right, with this franchisee, and that franchisee also did with good faith, but then the franchisee was kicked out, right? The owners were kicked out of their franchise, and then new owners were put in, and it's a new owner and the CEO who are the shitbags in this situation.
That'll be exciting. But yeah, he's like beyond grateful. He's like the happiest person in the whole world right now. And then also, I guess this is a little bit of insider information too. So his whole time, his dad didn't know about it because of his health. And I think Brian kind of felt bad. It's like, I trusted my son with like our family's life savings. And he felt like he took his dad's trust and just like destroyed it, and it's been something that's like really been weighing in on him of like, oh, my dad must be so disappointed in me. I can't tell him that I failed the family, and he says as of, I think it was like 3 days ago, he finally told his dad that like, he's like, hey, here's the situation. We got all the Lego sets stolen from us, but we made the money back and we did it. And he's like, my dad has no clue about any like social.
Like I said before, right? You haven't made the money back. What's happened is that people saw the video that Reckless Band made, the documentary, documenting all that's gone, and they out of their goodness of their heart have given to it. This is other people's money. This is the internet people's money, right? This is crowdfunding. And this is why I always want to stress that I despise people who defraud the goodwill of people who support crowdfunding. I despise people who do that, right? People who say, I'm going to give you a product. I'm going to give you a product. Here's what I got. I've got 20%. I've got 50% of it done. I'm going to make the rest of it, and I'm going to send it, this by this date, 6 months later, right? Where you're going to have a printed version in your hand, or you're going to have a PDF version and a printed version, whatever it is, right? I'm going to give it to you, right? X is going to give it to you, right? But then at the end of it, the person runs away with the money, 10,000, 100,000, 5,000, 3,000, million, right? And then that ruins the good faith and trust of people in humanity, as they say, right? And at the it's the trust and faith in the crowdfunding process. And sadly, it continues, right? That whole thing continues right now, where there's people continue to defraud, backer support, backer funding, and companies like crowdfunding sites have this, be aware that you might not get this product. But when somebody goes out and gives you their word, hey, you are going to get this, I am creating it, then you go, okay, well, I guess you're giving me your word, right? Word is bond, right? Your word is bond. People, in the old days would get killed for in shootouts for not being honest, right? With their word. And nowadays, You can basically do whatever you want. You know, you can take people's money, you can steal from them, and you can, do whatever you want, and there's no legal recourse. And this is what these people thought. Oh yeah, we can take your $200,000 worth of Lego. Your dad's dying, so you don't, let's not worry about, let's take you for the ringer. Let's drag this out. And because you're concerned with your father's health and stuff, you're not going to have the time to worry about us stealing from you. And the guy after two years of dealing with it, like I said, like ended up in hospital, anxiety and stress. And it is stressful, man, when you that's a lot of money, $200,000. Like I said, it's almost $400,000 New Zealand. That's a house. That's a very good house, right? Might even have two bathrooms, right? 3 bedrooms, garage, great lawn and yard. So you're all set up. And it's your dad's money, and he set you up for life, right? And yet here some scumbag wants to steal from you. And it's like, let's say you've got this money and you've put it towards some other project, right? And that project and you're running that project, and then the project manager steals that money, or not steals that money, but takes that money and creates a product and then runs off with the product, and you're left in the lurch, right? This is why I think it's really tough to work with contracts and have people uphold contracts, because not everybody has a good faith and deals with things in a good faith. It's like I talked about yesterday about the about the Kickstarter thing, right? With these people that like are marketing experts who don't deal with like people, young creators or new creators in good faith. They want to abuse the system. And this is what happened to this dude, Brian here, right? With this Lego thing. They basically abused the system against them. Oh, we don't have this sort of like, franchisee thing in here. We don't sell on behalf of, but it says in your freaking contract that you're allowed to do that. Like I mentioned early on, that like when I owned my comic store, I would offer that. Somebody would come in, hey man, cards, bro. I've got these Lego Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Can you sell these on my behalf? And I would have that. I would have like a folder of cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, a Pokemon or whatever. In that folder, I would say, this is who this belongs to. This is how much is, put a price tag on there if somebody wanted. And then I'll have a notebook that says, okay, this is what you get. This is what, this is how much I sold. These are the ones I sold. Here's the amount of your money back. Right. So I've dealt with concise sales. I just forgotten. I thought I'd only just work with comics because I had a comic shop, but I did, because we had a part of our business comic shop when I opened it was to do actually it wasn't me that came up with the idea to sell collector trading cards, Pokemon, all that. It was one of the guys that walked in and said, hey bro, do you know much about trading cards? I'm a person who plays Yu-Gi-Oh. It would be cool to come in and play, bring my friends here. We play at home. Can we come in here and play? And I go, yeah, man, why not? And I just took it on board and said, well, I don't know nothing about it, kid. Not kid. I mean, I said, I don't know nothing about it, bro. Can you guys run it yourselves? I have no idea about these things, trading cards. And that's like in 2014. And those guys own a store right now. Those same people that used to run like games out of my store, and I provide, every month or so, whenever the new pack of cards came out or new booster sets come out, I'd bring it in, and they'd already have pre-ordered it, buy it, how many they were wanting, and then they'd go play games, and they'd run tournaments in the store. And now those guys actually own a store locally. They went in together, the 4 main guys, they went in together and bought a franchise. So they are actually franchisees, franchise owners, right, of a collectible card game. Let me just bring up their and the thing is that if they didn't come to me and say, hey, can you do this, and if I didn't say yes, I don't know where they would be. Maybe they'd still be playing at home, but and I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back, but because they already have done that for me, right? But it's just it's a good feeling when somebody does something good for you and you've done something good for them. But these people here, this Bricks and Things, man, they've ruined this family's health, right? This guy was on his, at his wit's end after 2 years, right? 2 years of dealing with these shitbags at Bricks and Minifigs, franchisee thing. I'm trying to search Facebook for my friend's store because here it is. It's just that I've, like I said, I got banned on Facebook about 2 months ago, and I lost every single account, even my business account, which meant that I have no access to my business, my company access. And I think maybe I should fight it, go to thing and say, well, give it back to me. Don't give me my private one, give me these other ones, right? But what the fuck, man? Like, this is like scumbaggery with these platforms. You don't know how to, because it doesn't, you might get the wrong person that day sitting at the computer and decide, well, you know what, who cares about this dude from Whangarei, and all that in New Zealand. So this is the cut. This is my friends, 4 of my friends who actually opened up the store, right? And they now, right, it's been open for about 2 years now. They run games that they used to run the same way out of my own comic book store, right? And this is so cool, man. Like, I mean, this is my legacy, right? People say, this is what I leave, this is what I've got. I don't have children, so my legacy is all the people I've influenced over my life, and I've allowed them to have, to start up their own businesses, to connect people with other people, to connect their own businesses, right? To build up for themselves, right? And it's just, for me, it's such a good feeling. Whenever I feel, I guess what I should be doing is like, whenever I feel down, I should actually think about this, right? That my friends that used to, used to be running a card game out of my own comic store. Hey, there's Lynette. She used to dress up as Incredible for my, she used to work with me for our plunge convention as, let me find you that one, where she's, as my, gosh, where is it? It's Plunge NZ. Oh yeah, good news on Plunge NZ Facebook, website. I was able to buy back my Plunge comics. I mentioned the other day, right, on the live stream that I lost the PlungeComics website GoDaddy because at the time I didn't have any money to pay for it, and so I lost the being able to afford it. But I have been able to afford it. I saved up and I was able to afford it. So for the next 3 years or so, right, going forward, I have PlungeComics as a website address. But right now we're just doing it under the one that I was able to later on buy back. Because what happens when you lose it, people try to like offer it back to you for more money, right? And this is why you got to be careful about like starting up businesses. Make sure you not only trademark your business even before you release the name out to the public, right? Is that you register the name of the website of the company, right? The website name, the domain name. So as I was saying, Lynette, right? So this is my friend Ethan here, right? He's the one that was like that runs that owns that shop that I just showed you guys, right? And this is me here, and this is I've got Lynette dressed up, and this is my comic. My friend. We haven't done this since like about 2003, right? So this was the last sort of like one we. Actually, this wasn't the last one. We did 2003. We did in a bit. This was like in the hall, but like a former church hall, or Scouts hall, something like that. and now the one after this we did it was like a sports event type structure. And so yeah, so now also, you know, I set up Mark here, well, to do like the videotaping and stuff that one of my other guys was doing, and now he has a business, right? So one person, two person, right? And early on, me and Shane, when I was running my comic store, right? Shane and I were starting running a small weekly comic creating course. This is in 2014, man, right? That's what, 9 years ago? Wait, I don't know dates. Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't. I've had like about 7 or 8 concussions over my lifetime, so head injuries, right? So it doesn't really work for me to quickly come up with numbers. But yeah, so we had a guest that year, cosplayer, like amazing, and just different types of stuff. And you know, Jason, of course, my best friend, and both of these, you know, all these guys are my friends, and so we were able to do, you know. And by the way, Lynette actually, you know, cosplays hardcore professionally for what was that game? I think it's a actually, let me see if I can go back to the other page and I'll show you. Oh yeah, by the way, if you go to this page, you'll get some early comic book stuff that we did you know, to do with Incredigirl, which we are now going to be releasing soon as a second issue, as a issue 2 of the comic book. This is like this is the web comic we started doing back in 2007, right? And so the artwork is, you know, it's made for web comic, right? But now, you know, we've gone to the next stage as with comics, and you know, full on hard, you know. Plus, there's also you know, professional art, coloring, lettering, everything. Just wanted to get off there. wouldn't get off the screen. So you can also read, you know, this political satire comic strip that, you know, created a few years back, right? Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember now. On there as well. You know, something, you know, if you're bored to read, you know, political satire about modern bears, right? Family of modern bears. So that's there. Now, I was going to talk about, before I go to the other one, I just want to show you the Incredigirl page, because we're going to be releasing Incredigirl 2 soon. So you guys can go check out the Incredigirl 1. It should be out before next month. I'm trying to get it all set up with our publisher, Rising Sun Comics. And, you know, like I was saying, like we updated everything, right? The artwork's really cool compared to what, you know, I released I self-published the issue 1 of the webcomic, and then realized I wasn't happy with the way it looked out, and I didn't want that to represent us as a you know, as a studio. And so we put out really professional looking comic books, and, you know, really cool artwork and stuff. And we delivered this, by the way. So Howler, you know, as you can see going through the bottom of, you know, on the screen here, Howler is our I think our 2nd or 3rd attempt, you know, finished book. So all our books are, when we release to the internet, I mean to the crowdfunding, is always finished. That's our guarantee, right? That we don't release anything unless it's 100% finished. Because why would you like have, you know, put out a book that you don't know when you're going to finish and keep people waiting, right? I mean, people have to wait anyway for like the printing and all that, but you know, so do go check this out. It'll tell you about the background to that, you know, who everybody is and how it falls into line with what we're doing. Kevin Zimmerman, American artist, did a great job on this work. And then some of the awesome covers, you know, James, who I'm actually working with right now on this, that I'm actually calling this cover for, on my lap right now, is the artist on that, right? So this is what I'm trying to get done today, is to get this finished so I can send it off to Louise to do the finish off my colors on, his colors on, so he can get him paid, right? Get his work finished and paid. And the other thing was that he does the shading colors. So this is some of the what he's done for this issue 1 of Templeton, right? So I'm just, the other thing that I got to do today before the next stream with the art show is like, so you can see here, right? I go in and do the color flats, and he comes in and does the shading, color shades, right? So you can get the tones and stuff and so on, right? So it becomes a bit more alive than just the usual. What happened to my screen? Wait. It's over here. Yeah. So sometimes I actually do the shading in the back. As you can see here, the tone I put in the gradients because I like the back. Sometimes I like my background to look a certain way. But yeah, so he'll go in there, like put in some shades on that. But this is a cover for Templeton #1, right? Issue 1, and we're already working on issue 3 right now. I think we're up to page 5 of the inked pages. And so this will come out later this year once I've sent it across to get. It's a 44-page book with 11 pages of black and white story, original story that we wrote way back in 2010, right? So, it's like 16 years ago, and we're about to put out the first issue publicly. Sometimes things take time, right? If you want to do it right and get the right people involved. Anyway, back to the game shop, right? So the cool thing is like, having friends, go on, seeing your friends go on and succeed in life it's a great feeling, man. And I think some people get jealous and they go, oh, they did better than me. And this, I'm like, bro, don't be envious at your friend's success. Be proud of them, right? Because, watching your friends succeed is one of the best feelings. There's Eights there, there's Min here, right? I think they're going to a comp. So they've been doing this for, I think, about 3 years now, running the store and stuff. And, here in Whangarei, New Zealand. And then another hobby shop opened up next to them, which kind of like, kind of a feeder. So you get 40K over here. Actually, they've got 40K, but they've sort of more advanced out. But this is like, Card Merchant Whangarei is the name of the shop. That's their franchise, right? So I shouldn't put little kids on there. I don't like doing that. Online. So, but yeah, they run competitions and everything, right? Just watching my friends go from having a little table about this big, 2 of them in my shop in 2014 to running their own franchise card shop, TCG shop, and everything else that goes with that, right? It's awesome. And I think, this is something you can reflect on, right? Like, this is my legacy in life, and leaving what you leave behind, right? A lot of people don't think about it, but when you get to around about 40s, 50s, you got to think about what are you doing as a what have you left behind, right? Like what will people remember you by? What sort of person were you, right? And I kind of feel like these people over at the Lego, Bricks, and Minifigs are going to be remembered for being shitbags. Getting back to our subject of the day, topic of the day. The way they've treated this family is just shitbaggery to the max. And I know people who are like this, but they, shitbags, and they drain the life out of you. They steal from you. They take what you have, and they tell everybody that no, they're in the right, but gaslight you and say, privately send out emails and stuff, and oh, you're the bad guy, and you're like all the time you're going, they were like, but I didn't do anything. I was like straight up with you, but like, and then they'll be out there, in the back, as they say, in the back rooms, right? Talking shitbaggery about you, but actually all the while they're just gaslighting everybody, and yet them to be the shitbags, 100%. But hey, that's why I like the fact that this has gone out and publicly online, and because finally these people with Ben here exposing them, right?
Stolen from us, but we made the money back, and we did it. And he's like, my dad has no clue about any like social media or anything, so he was like, wait, how do people from all around the world know about this? Like, how is this? Because he doesn't like understand like the internet. But apparently he took it well, I guess. And he said it's like it was the biggest weight off his chest that he's ever felt in like the last 2 years. He's just been like the biggest like relief ever.
And that's what it is, right? Like you live under, like, while people are gaslighting you, stressing you out, making you angry, frustrated, stressed out, they're out there gaslighting you. They don't give a shit how you are, what you're dealing with, how you're feeling. They'll just be out there telling bullshit, thinking they got away with it and stuff. And you're there going, man, if only people knew, right? If only people knew what I'm going through, if only people knew what this person's put me through, and all the bullshit they're saying, all the lies they're saying, if only people knew. Because you don't want to, like, nobody wants their dirty laundry out in the public, right? Nobody. But sometimes we're at your wit's end, and at the last straw, you just throw to the wind. You go, fuck, I got nothing to lose, right? And this is what I think Brian did here. We're like, dude, I'm stressed out. I'm ending up in hospital. I'm having to, take anxiety pills to get my heart rate down so I don't friggin' go off myself, because my dad's relying on me, doesn't know anything. And let's go for that one rope that, that everybody at the wit's end goes. Let's go public with it. And I'm so glad they did, because now the entire world gets to see what sort of people these two people are. The franchisee, the new franchisee owner, Joshua Johnson, and also Amon McNeef, the CEO of Bricks MiniFigs America, right? The franchise, whatever it is, right?
Well, that is great. All right. Well, now you got me smiling. But on a less smiling note, we reached out to Bricks MiniFigs. They pointed us towards their latest statement. They have another on the way. They are suing you partly for alleged stunts shown in your videos, including this, which is a banner you put on the store as they closed it. What is the latest advice from your legal team that you can mention to us?
So I don't know. They're trying to get me for damaging the store, is what they're claiming. However, the store was not damaged. We just tied it to a bush on the ground, and then we tied it to like a pipe at the top. So we didn't damage the building. If anything, we just left an accurate sign on their building. They are permanently closed, and they closed down the store to avoid having to pay the family what was owed to them. So and here's the thing too, is they forgot. I wouldn't have had to do this if they would have just mentioned on Google and like Apple Maps that they were closed. But people were showing up every single day expecting an open store. And the worst part is people had already made deposits for birthday parties. So all the kids would show up for their birthday, and then they would just have to sit in an empty parking lot for like their like 6-year-old kid's birthday, and it was just like depressing. So I was like, well, if they're not going to put on their Google that they're closed, then like, I think I'm doing a public service to the public by putting this sign up. I know it's going to go viral, and that way the whole world can see they're closed. And now you don't have to drive all the way to their store for your kid's birthday party and like ruin your kid's birthday because of this. So I thought I was doing the public a service by putting that sign up. Technically, it is considered littering. So I will pay the littering fine if that is needed, but I thought that was a small price to pay to let the public know that Bricks and Minifigs has closed because they don't want to pay this family out.
And one thing, as the whole internet covers this, I want to follow up on a video from M&R Productions, a Lego YouTuber. You commented on the video yesterday. In it, he says both Brian, the original owner, and Ammon, the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, say that Brian was paid $19,000 for the part of the collection sold by that Salem store, but that Brian should have been paid a lot more than that if he was actually getting paid the proper share of the consignment sale that he'd agreed to with the original owners. Did you have a chance to take a look at that?
So I'm not a Lego expert, but since this story's been blowing up, a lot of like actual Lego collectors have been looking into this, and it's estimated that he still should have had around $120,000 worth of sets in the store. Around it's about $115,000 to $120,000 is what the Lego experts are saying.
That's US, by the way.
You're right. In that YouTube video, he was able to look at screenshots after corporate took over the store and saw, hey, there is about $120,000 of sets still in the store after the corporate took it over. However, the corporation's claiming, oh, there might have been $5,000 worth of sets, even though you can go through the Google reviews and look at the sets that are in the store and match them up to Brian's inventory. And you can, I mean, this is all verifiable online. And so the evidence is on the internet, and the Lego community is doing its thing and like dissecting everything.
So as per the latest from Brian, Crystal, the store's original owner, was paying him out the proper amount for the consignment sales.
So that's what it seems like when you match the Lego sets that are still in the store after it got taken over. It looks like Crystal was paying. This is still has to be like 100% verified. It hasn't been verified in the court yet, but from what the Lego community makes it seem like, it does seem like that right now. Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to leave the courts to the court.
So the great thing here is, right, that Ben has been able to raise around about $150,000 on top of the $200,000 that Brian is supposed to get, right, for the Legos via crowdfunding. But that $150,000 extra, he can now take Bricks and Minifigs to court and have discovery. So discovery is where everything, all the emails, all the videos, you know, all the communication that between Josh, you know, the new franchisee owner, who's a shitbag, who basically said, I will pay out the franchisee. We'll take care of Brian, right, and his products, right, and then the CEO is like, yeah, we don't do this shit. We don't take over franchisees, and we don't do this. All that stuff that they've been talking about, emailing each other, messages, whatever, it's all going to be out in the courts. And this is why I want to bring this up, is because a lot of people companies like to drag shit out, right? Big companies, small companies like to drag things out with people. But it's not always the company that's at fault. Sometimes it's the people that work for those companies that are at fault as well. And they like to drag it out, especially if they're in different countries, right? And so, you know, when you look at crowdfunding right now, you know, you've got one person out there with $2.4 million raised through crowdfunding, yet it's been 5 to 6 years since he's delivered any product. That's basically what this company has been doing, dragging out, because they own, right? Let's just switch over to comic books. They own Brian comic books, but they want to hold on to their $200K of Brian's money without delivering the comic books, right? It's kind of a weird way of put it, but like, you know, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like people should just be fucking honest in life, right? Don't be so freaking greedy. because karma's a bitch, right? I've dealt with karma, you know, and it's always going to come back to you, no matter how you think. So the world has a way of working itself out, right? Right and wrongs. Whether you want to or whether you don't want to, it'll always, people are trying to contact me. Apologies there. Sorry, that's what the noise was, and I don't like. I actually don't like Discord noises when you're like when you're live streaming, because when you're watching a live stream, you think it's your Discord, and kind of like, oh, and you start checking your computer for messages, and it's not there, and so I kind of get annoyed with that. But I think, I just wish that greed, man, greed. People will do anything for the love of money, right? Not for money itself, but for the love of money. People do crazy shit. So there's another, let me see if I can find it. There's another little clip to do with this where where there's I think it's on Ben's. Oh yeah. So someone, here we go. Let me bring this up. Whoops. So we don't know if this is a hack or if this is actually somebody releasing, some good cop releasing accidentally, quote unquote, the entire interaction between the police and this situation with the Lego thing, right? So this is someone hacked. This is from Ben, right? But I actually saw the hacked items last night. I think it was like early this morning before I went back to bed, because I woke up somewhere around about middle of the night and I went, wait, I got things to do, so might as well go back to sleep again. Otherwise, I won't be able to be in a good mind to be able to do the live stream later. We got later on coming with Tim. Tim's got a topic he wants to discuss today, and he's kind of running the show this afternoon when we do it. Like, it's about 7:30 in the US, I think it is. So check this out. This is so I actually saw the original leaked video, right? And that's actually on another site called Bam Sucks, I think. Let me just find that one so you guys can follow all the leaked videos there. Bam. Because it's crazy watching the interaction between the police and these and this franchisee owners, and some of it's just freaking crazy, right? It's like they lie through their teeth, defame, and in America you can't just defame people and get away with it. I don't think you can do that anywhere, at all. But in America they have weird litigation things. You can sue people for those sort of things, right? So let's go to this quick video, this little short 4-minute video here first before we go to Ben's little video again. So this is Joshua Johnson. This is the guy I've been saying about the new franchisee owner, right? So actually, this is on my other channel. I haven't subbed for. So it was just released early this morning. I guess yesterday. Sorry, it was released yesterday. So all of this, all of the leaks were recorded, like downloaded, right? After it was accidentally leaked online. And so you get all these friggin' things to do with this business here, right? What is it like? Let me get down here. It's like 4 days worth of leaked materials, right? I mean, it's been all this materials here leaked for over 4 days. All right. So this is how they decided to. This is this guy, Joshua Johnson. Just a bit of background. He's the guy who takes over as a new franchisee owner.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we're both here. So that what she's printing off is previous records from cells. Just so she has a receipt of what's due, that's right.
Yeah, otherwise I won't know. These are ones that he has not been paid his percentage yet.
See, these are the ones he has not been paid his percentage for. This is Cindy, right? The former franchisee owner. And this is Joshua Johnson, good friend of the CEO, who's taking over. And he's been told right here, directly here on security camera, Ring security camera, right? That these are the ones that Brian hasn't been paid for. These are his. This is the evidence. This is what I'm talking about, discovery. This is the evidence of he knowingly being shown that all these, there's a list here of all the Lego that he hasn't been paid for yet.
And if I don't have the tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
See that? She is telling him, if I don't have this record, I'm not going to be able to pay him. Right? So she's the good person here. And I'm going to show you how they try to malign her and defame her as to, oh, she's the bad person. She's the one who didn't pay them out. This is the friggin' whatever they call it, the nail in the coffin, right?
Okay. So Crystal, ultimately, also that's a business thing and not necessarily you as a friend. And
see, and I think this is a CEO, Amon McNeef, right? Who's actually on the phone there. His good friend, the CEO's Joshua Johnson, the new franchisee owner, taking over from Cindy, his close friend, because he actually says that to the cops. There's a problem, right? When you ring up the cops and you start lying to the cops. A few years back, in about 96, 97, I think it was, I remember like walking and I was depressed. I was angry. I just been kicked out of art school, because I'd been doing too much work, like creating too much, but not doing the paperwork. And they were like, dude, we can't have you here because you're not passing your paperwork. So I'm like, but I want to do the work and I'm doing the work, but you're not doing the theory, right? It's like, I don't want to fucking learn about shit on how this dude and this dude thinks about art. I want to create it, right? I want to be in the kitchen. I don't want to learn about the, how the ingredients are processed, right? In the factory. I want to get the ingredients and go make it. And so, yeah, and I was like depressed. I was going to go into town and get drunk and just get blotto and just whatever, right? And at that time, I was a brand new Christian, right? This is about 96, 97. And I'm walking down and I get pulled over by two cops. And the cops go, hey, man, what's up? Because I must have been, the way I was walking, I was like, maybe, they saw that I was like angry, look on my face. I thought, oh, let's see what this guy's on. If he's it's okay, if he's on drugs or something, shit, right? Causing problems. So walking down the main road, and they go, where are you off to? I said, I'm just going to my mate's place. Even though in my head, I'm like, I want to go get drunk, gonna get blotto, just gonna whatever comes. I'm just sick and tired of everything, right? And then they go, okay, we'll get you later. You take care of yourself, man. And I think it was a female and a male, right? Cops. And so they carried on, and I kept walking down, and I was just walking down the hill, and it was like my friend's house was just further down on the right. And I was walking down going, oh, shit. Now I can't go into town because that makes me a liar. And I don't want to be lying, right? Because I'm supposed to be, a good Christian. And so then I ended up to my friend's place and spent the night talking to him, just saying what I was going through. His dad came down, talked me through it, and we got past it, right? Everything I was going through, right? And so yesterday when I was talking about when I was watching the next video we're going to show, and I was thinking, like, did these people never learn not to lie to the cops? And especially now when you have body cam and everything's recorded. Like here, right? Cindy's telling him, we have a list of all this stuff, or we have all the tickets of what Brian's items are. And if I don't have that list, I won't know what I need to pay him. Oh no, and he's going to come in and say, yeah, we're going to take over for that.
Will take, and because taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
Right there. So the CEO goes, when he takes on the business, right? When he takes on, Brian will take and will take it, and when he's taking on the business,
he takes on all that consignment liability.
He takes on all that consignment, right?
And because taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
The most important nail in the coffin. This is the one in the head, right? Right square in the bullseye. And this is on the stores, right? This is on the store's ring camera, security camera. This is Joshua Johnson, the shitbag, who's making out Cindy to be the evil person, who's making out Brian to be the evil person, making out Reckless Ben to be the evil person, being told by his CEO that when you take on this business, you'll take on the consignment. That now you are legally responsible to pay out the rest of the fees for those items that is owned by, contractually owned by Ben, because they're his products, but you're taking it on as a consignment to sell on his behalf.
I want to go through and figure it out. So, I gave you the mailbox and the silver.
Here's a switch over. I give you the mailbox, right? All the things are handed over.
And then the keys for the back storeroom and the safe are in the safe.
Okay.
Yep. So handed over then everything. Storeroom, all the Legos in the storeroom, all the safe and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it was 718 7128. 71828.
Okay. Now, I want to show you this form. Where was this one? I think this is the one that I saw. This one. This is only part 3, so I recommend watching all the other
Explain
parts.
that to him. Right now, I'll look into.
Did you take pictures of those things?
Yes, I got the case number that he's referring to, and I'll check with the court, see if it's a valid civil case that he's trying to push through, and we'll go about it that way.
The weird thing is, like, now the Fork police themselves are in the middle of this shit because they've put themselves on the side of Joshua and the company and the CEO, Amon McNeef. I kept thinking it was McNiven because I've never heard the name McNeef before. So I was like, McNiven, right? Like Steve McNiven, the comic book artist. Or is it writer? Oh no, McNiven's an artist, wasn't he? I'm sure you guys probably know. He's a good artist too, Steve McNiven. So a lot of weird stuff is happening between the cops on the side of the sea of Bricks and MiniFigs, right? They've swatted, knowing the shit is going on, they've swatted Reckless Ben, and they've also arrested, chased down his friends. Stop them, or are you doing drugs and shit? It's weird. And so now, because Joshua Johnson is a Mormon, and we know how, knowing Ethan Van Sciver, what sort of people you know, some Mormons are, right? And I'm going to say, I'm going to paint everybody as all bad. But we know that if we take Ethan Van Sciver, you know, from Comicsgate as a Mormon, because, you know, he's always like, I'm a Christian. No, you're a Mormon. There's a rules to this whole thing, right? Just like Jehovah's Witnesses can't call themselves Christians because they're Later Day, you know, or is it like, sorry, is it Mormons are Later Day Saints, right? Like, fuck that. You know, even the whole Later Day Saints, like, what, you guys are like saints now? Did you die for Christ? You know, have you been tortured for Jesus, for your faith? The only people that I know right now that have been tortured for their faith, right, are people in Africa who have been slaughtered in the thousands by Muslims daily. They're the saints, right? They're the Latter Day Saints, not Mormons living in fucking in the West in luxury, right? First world, you know. But if you really think about it, and oh yeah, that's what I want. Like, I want to show you. Like, so let me talk about this. Since I'm talking about that Mormon guy, so there's actually a Mormon guy that went up to, you know, where is it? Calls it LCS. Yeah. So I saw a bit of this. So a Mormon youth, right? You know, I think he's in early 20s. Basically, goes to Joshua's house and says, "Man, why don't you just like be honest, right? And we know you're stealing this family's inheritance. Why don't you go to this?" And this is a link here, and you guys can see all this. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'm going to put a list here so you guys can actually go to the BAMS. You know, this is what's released. This is what's been leaked. Every interaction to do with, because you know when you got all the, you know, when you're a police station, right? You can imagine how many cases you have every day, right? So you log it all under, okay, so this has got to do with this person, and you put it in that folder, and that folder got leaked online. And in that folder is this interaction between the franchisee owner, the new franchisee owner of Bricks and MiniFigs, and an LDS, Latter Day Saints Mormon church member, who has the cops called on him by Joshua Johnson. So Joshua is a big old snitch, right? The biggest snitch you can think of.
I'm not gonna screw you.
So in their Mormon, you know, youth group, whatever, a video has been passed around where about the whole minifigs thing, right? About the Bricks and minifigs thing, about Brian's $200,000 worth of comics, Lego, vintage Lego, by the way, is worth quite a bit, depending which, and even minifigs, like, they're worth a bit, you know. And I haven't been through my collection, and I have a huge collection, but not 200K collection, right? I started like uploading to the Lego, was it Brick Mark or something like that? Let me just find it. I'll show you. So I logged in, and I was putting in each like item I had, because I buy like bulk items, so they're most of the time they're not like made already. I mean, sorry, they're not all completed sets. They just like might have pieces missing and stuff. I just buy them because I want the pieces, right? And if they're sets, and they're great. And sometimes I buy new, you know, every now and then I reward myself, like I did for my birthday, and I bought a Lego Batman animated blue car, right? And that was like, I think it retails around about 120 or something, and it was 50% off. So I was like, cool, this is part of my 53rd birthday present. This was like early May or late April I bought it. And that was that's a brand new set. But usually I just buy like Bricklink. It's a Bricklink. I think it's Bricklink, where I catalog all my collections. I mean, pieces, I should say. You know, let's see if I can find it. And I can show you. You know, well, let's not even go there. But I think it's owned by Lego now. So great. Let me see if I can bring it up. But I'll play this so while I'm trying to do that shit. So he's gonna play the cops the video, right? And old Mr. Joshua has called the cops on his church member, a young person from his from his church, and he's called the cops on him. They snitched on him.
Brother Johnson taking advantage of some people.
Like how so?
So this guy donates his life savings in Legos to Bricks MiniFigs. It's like a resale store.
Okay.
I was just coming to discuss that with them. And then on the Ring doorbell, he said he'd be out in a minute. So I've just been waiting for him.
Okay. What's the audio that you wanted to play?
Yeah, I can show you.
I'll be right in, okay?
Did you see that?
Okay.
Did you?
I don't.
Okay.
Checking for cameras and guns. This dude is just digging himself into so much trouble. Like he's so paranoid now because he's, you know, this is what happens, right? When you start lying and lying and lying, this is why you should just, you know, if you've lied, correct yourself and go, yeah, right, I made a mistake. You know, I'm not gonna like, okay, I screwed up, all right. But when you continue to lie and lie and lie, people see it. And what happens with you mentally, you start breaking down because you can't see straight after a while, right? You're drowning. And now, oh no, I'm paranoid. But he's not saying that to check him for guns. He's saying that because in a way, he's just trying to say, make himself look good. It's like, oh, you know, trying to build a case. It's like all these people are out to get me. You know, I'm not the crazy one. I'm not the one who's gaslighting everybody. I'm not the thief, right? Standing there inside the house, right? Your church member came to talk to you and you call the cops on him. And then not only that, but you try to build your case and say, well, you know, he's threatening me. He might have a gun. He's going to kill me. It's like, bro, he came to your house in the daytime. He's in his Mormon clothes, right? He's probably got a name tag there somewhere, right? You know, and you probably know him because he's part of your church. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to your door. But the problem here is like, I saw this thing that really made me laugh. So, hold on. In the comments section.
I'll be right in there.
Dang it. Hold on. When you do this thing, it's like, it doesn't like, yeah, we go. Now we got it. Perfect. So, the audacity, he has some audacity being a Mormon and upset that someone is knocked on his door. I thought it was so crazy. And another thing, like later on, accusing a Mormon of drinking in public. Now I've seen it. Now I've seen it all. Right? Yeah, this one's like checking for cameras and guns. Absolutely pathetic liar. That's what I mean. It's like, it's totally like, it's paranoid and irrational. All right. Guys think that he's probably on guns or on drugs. Yeah. He goes, where's the church kid banging on windows making threats? He's clearly, you know, he's just out there just talking to him. Did he accuse a Mormon of drinking by smelling it? What corrupt fucking. This is crack up, right? And this is what they're doing now. They're just like snitching on everybody and anything. And you, like I said, go check out Bam's account because you'll see all the leaked videos there.
Okay.
Here's the audio.
I'm not gonna screw you. You have my word. That's not who I am. I promise you. I swear to God. I promise you on everything.
Who's that?
So
I guess
that's him.
No, I know that. I could tell that from the voice, but what's that for exactly?
So his name's Ben Schneider. He was just confronting the guy because he had a video clip sent to him from inside the store, Bricks and Minifigs. Basically, they're trying to like shut down the store so they can keep good profit from this investment they made of like the minifigs. I think it's around $200,000. And then Ben called him and he's like, I don't agree with what you're doing. Are you really gonna pursue this? And then that's the clip. He goes, no, I'm not screwing you guys over or whatever. I swear on everything. I swear on God. And obviously he hasn't done anything to.
See, and this is what this dude's having contention with. You're bringing God into your friggin', business dealing, which you're lying about, right? And Ethan Van Sciver does the same shit when it comes to his comics. So he's bringing Jesus and conservatism and Christianity into his comics thing. Dude, don't bring your fucking religion into business. End of story. Just don't. Right? It's kind of like church and state. Keep it separate. But the crazy thing is that people want to grift using Christianity and using the so-called conservative, right? Unquote, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes, right? Because it's a way to grift off people that don't actually believe in what you that might have similar beliefs, right? Oh, gays are bad. So read my comic book, right? Don't read the other comic books. Star Wars is dead, so send me money, right? Christians are being mistreated in Hollywood, so support my Christian books. Just put a fucking book out and let the people decide. Don't wrap it up in some fucking religious clothing or shit, right? Or some political thing, because the whole point of business and capitalism, right, in the West is that you create a product, people like that product, people pay for that product. What I find interesting is that and funny is when people use Christianity or religion to grift, because I have a background in religion, right? In Christianity, Hinduism, and different denominations. So I understand these things. And while I was in those, situations, I would read a lot. I'd read a lot of theory and text and all these things, right? About religion and about how people behave. And when you use religion to prop yourself up for your greed, right? It makes people who are actually interested in your religion run as far away as possible, or in your belief system. You are the one that actually pushes people away from Christ, right? And so I always found it really funny when people come online and start the whole conservative Christian grift, because I have seen people like that, and I've run away from people like that. And it's easy to see them, especially if you spend decades in that. You can easily spot people. You get used to spotting people, I should say. Well, I do anyway. Spotting the fakers and the grifters, especially when they use religion. Like the latest one is Melanie Mack, right? And the Quartering and Chrissy Amaya, right? They use Catholicism a lot because they know it's an easy thing. There's no, because they know there isn't the actual, accepting of the Holy Spirit involved, the actual born again baptism parts of it. It's just a catechism, right? They just see it as like putting on a uniform and taking it off. It's not like they don't see it as like that total over cleansing of the past and growing into a new being, right? So it's easy for them to grift on that and make up shit that Jesus would say because they've never read the Bible, right? And it's quite sad because they're the people that push everybody, all the new people, or all the ones who are searching away from Christianity.
Help that in any way.
Okay. Do you have that ID on you?
It's on my phone. Does that work? Like the mobile ID?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
So there is that one, right? So the other one is where's that 4-minute one? I want to go back to. Yeah, this one. So this one's where, like,
okay, again,
listen to this phone call. Let me just get fast forward.
Franchisee.
Yeah.
So this is
Office.
this
is Amon McNeef.
Again, this is Hammond.
And that he had $200,000 worth of Star Wars has been happening between.
Hold on. Actually, let's play this whole thing.
Okay, I've explained that to him. Right now, I'll look into.
Did you take pictures of those things?
Right, yes, I got the case number that he's referring to, and I'll check with the court, see if it's a valid civil case that he's trying to push through, and we'll go about it that way, okay? Again, I don't know all the specifics. I don't know why this whole thing has been happening between the two of you. I'm getting two different stories from each one of you.
What is he possibly saying?
He's saying that he had $200,000 worth of.
One of the funny things about this dude, he's a fucking liar. He's a total liar. This is Joshua Johnson. He's a liar. He knows. I showed you the actual Ring security cam footage from the store where he has been told on the phone by Amon McNeef, his close friend, because that's what Amon says. He's a good friend of mine, right? He's a good friend of mine. So two buddies, right? You know, they probably meet for drinks. But now, you know, now both those guys are going to get, you know, in the courts, hang themselves because of what you're going to hear. He's like, what's he saying? He knows exactly what he's saying because Reckless Ben, right, and Brian have been dealing with this. I mean, Brian, right, the guy who owns this Lego stuff, has been dealing with this shitbag and Bricks MiniFigs for 2 years. They know exactly what the contention is. You took over my Legos, and you're supposed to pay me, and you haven't paid me a cent. And it's been 2 years. That's it. There's no other. What is he saying? Whatever, and that's been going for 2 years. And then now, Reckless Ben has been putting out documentaries, all the records of what they've been doing to try to make these people pay up, because they still won't pay up. So now they're destroying the entire business, multi-million-dollar company, over this person's greed and the CEO's greed, because they're both hand in hand. So the CEO could go in and go, listen, I'm cutting you out, bro. You're going to pay that person and you're out. We're done. But no, he wants to hold his hand and go down to hell together.
Star Wars Legos.
He did that. No, he did not.
Right. Never had
So,
that.
so officer, again, this is Hammond. I'm with the corporate office.
He's the CEO.
Oh, hi.
So what's happened is we had a former franchisee that entered into a
Oh yeah, and Amon's going to lie here as well. Invalid. Remember, I showed that video earlier. Amon himself said he's going to take over the franchisee when he takes over the shop. And then we saw him taking over the shop. He got the key to the safe. He got the key to the storeroom with all of Brian's remaining around about $180,000 worth of Legos, the vintage Star Wars Legos. You really can't trust people these days, man. Even contracts. There's a contract here. Because people are greedy and they'll bleed you till the friggin' cows come home, right? Because people are just, scumbags. And once you find a good person, treat them well, and hopefully they'll treat you well. But like, it's just sad. This is the state of the world right now, right? That people with power, and these two are with power, going against the family with a father who's elderly father whose health's failing, and they don't care because greed is more important to them. Money, moolah, is more important to them than someone's life and well-being.
Valid consignment agreement with a completely separate person. That person sold their Lego sets and didn't pay the person that they entered. And this has been.
You see, he's lying. He himself knows he's lying because there's video recording of that from the actual store with him on the phone. Right? Head office on the phone going, hey, when he takes over the shop, he's going to take over the consignment. Right? Consignment. He's going to take over paying off Brian's money of around about 180,000 for the Legos.
Nothing to do with Mr. Schneider. Mr. Schneider is just a YouTuber that got a hold of the story.
And here's the thing. You just hear this a-hole, right, continues to say he's just a YouTuber. He's just a YouTuber. Haven't we seen YouTubers expose so much corruption? Like there was an $80 billion, was it 80 billion or 8 billion? I can't remember, just recently, right? Where, the Somali shit, $8 billion of theft by the Somalians, right, in America. A YouTuber. $8 billion of taxpayers' money. He's not just a YouTuber, right? And now he's going to have a very strong lawyer paid for by the people through crowdfunding to take these a-holes to court and make them face the firing squad, as they say. And they keep, you're on police. It's body cam. Now all of this, they got unedited out there in public. Past 4 days.
Hey, if I can harass these guys
and here's the thing,
and get some money out of them, will you pay me some of that money?
And here's the thing, he thinks that Brian, he doesn't know where there's a deal going on between Brian and Reckless Ben. How do you know what's been said between those two people? And he's saying, Ben's been doing it to get money. He's going to get a cut off the $200,000. Ben's got a Patreon. And he's already, people have already given about 150,000 US towards the court case, right? Towards the GoFundMe, which will be used towards the court case against these people. So they're basically maligning, and then he's going to say, well, he's threatening to kill. People are sending messages. Yeah, because people will do whatever the fuck they do on the internet. Yeah, people are autistic. Doesn't mean that's got anything to do with Ben. Ben's just putting the news out there. So if putting a report out there, right, or evidence out there. So if Fox News says, hey, this guy's a bad guy, and this is the evidence we have, and now somebody else, writes in and goes, you're a bad dude, sends them an email saying you're a bad dude. Is Fox News or CNN or what have you, BBC, held responsible for that? No. But he's saying no. Ben's responsible for people sending me messages. No, your behavior is what's responsible for people sending you messages if they are sending you messages. And how do we know? You're making up shit all the time here about Ben. So maybe you're lying. Unless you saw the receipts, right? Show the evidence we're not going to believe shit from you.
And that's what they're trying to do, is the individual who actually owes the money left the United States. They were one of our franchisees. They were terminated as a franchisee for violating all sorts of rules. They then fled to Europe somewhere.
Wait.
And so we've been trying to deal with this situation. We've been trying to help the person up in Oregon, but unless, because we found out later that they've been all working together to try and force some money out of us. So we've had our attorneys working on it. We've been.
Okay. Let me go back to the other one. All right. So where was that? Where's that ever? Where'd I put that one with the little clip? Let me copy this for myself. And then let's, there's a little video clip. Was it here or was it here? Remember?
You hear about the time?
Yeah, that's.
Also, that's a business thing and not necessarily yours. Brandon will take, and because taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
You there?
And because taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability. Will take, and because taking on the business, he takes on all that consignment liability.
Okay. That's head office.
Okay, I've explained that to him.
Hold on.
Right now.
Where were we on that counter?
Okay. Again, I don't know all the specifics. I don't know.
And this has nothing to do with Mr. Schneider. Mr. Schneider is just a YouTuber that got a hold of the story. They were one of our franchisees. They were terminated as a franchisee for violating all sorts of rules. They then fled to Europe somewhere. And so we've been trying to deal with this situation.
So remember at the end of the other clip, they just like shook hands and said, here. They didn't run off anywhere. They handed over the keys to the safe and to the storeroom and walked out the door. But the amount of bullshit coming out of these people's mouth, especially Amon McNeef, the CEO of Bricks and MiniFigs, is fucking ridiculous.
We've been trying to help the person up in Oregon, but unless, because we found out later that they've been all working together.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Now he's saying, well, the former franchisee is also part of the conspiracy, right? Not the fact that, hey, head office goes, yeah, we're going to take over the consignment. We're going to take over the consignment. We have the keys to the storeroom with all that stuff in there. We have all the tickets with the listings of what we owe them and what belongs to them. That's sitting here in the storeroom.
To try and force some money out of us. So we've had our attorney
force the money out of us. Dude, you are on camera, on the phone, in your own franchise store security camera, saying he will take over the consignment when he takes over the store.
He's working on it. We've been in contact with the Marion County Sheriff's Department, the Marion County District Attorney.
All over $180,000 worth of Lego. The hill they want to die on and destroy their company. Let me do what I usually do about this time, which is ask Grok. What is the value? Okay, let's do this. I'll keep this playing while I ask the question. Do the typing.
The Kaiser, and this is all up in Oregon. And then they started flying down here, coming to our corporate offices, and now they're heading to our staff and other individuals' personal residences to just harass and continue to try and extort money out of them. And so there's already a case in Provo because they've been passing fraudulent documents up in Oregon. They created a fake contract, forged a manager's signature up there, threatened to kill her, all sorts of things. And all of this while he's wearing glasses that have a camera in it. I don't know if you see
Is he wearing the glasses today?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wearing the glasses. Yes.
Yeah,
You're on
so
YouTube.
he's filming you guys, he's filming everything, and he's trying to put
he shouldn't record every interaction so that can be used in court. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. And he goes, "Oh, did you see him wear it today, boy? Hey, was he wearing it? Was he wearing it, Mr. Cop? Did you see him? Why? You're afraid of security? What, are you afraid of evidence?" When I heard that, I was like, what the fuck are these people? They sound like leftists. They don't, and I'm not just saying that thing. It's like, because I just saw something recently. They're saying, well, they shouldn't have body cams. They shouldn't record things anymore. It's like, no, you should record every fucking thing now. Like, seriously, anything to do with business, anything to do with violent people, crime, or anything like that, police interaction, because the world needs to see what people behave like and criminals and evil people behave like, because then people can make up their own mind about the evidence, about what they believe and what they don't believe. Because for too long, people are going to be saying, oh, every cop's a bastard, whatever, right? And then you realize, well, no, people are freaking dangerous, right? Some people are just freaking, evil. And cops are placed in danger, when they go into the violent situations. And then go, oh no, you should shoot them. It's like, yeah, it's coming with me at a knife, and he can slice my neck, and I could bleed to death right now. By the time anybody comes to me, like I've actually had a family member who actually was knifed in the neck, cardiac vein, in his own store by a 7-year-old kid with a pocket knife, bled out before any help could come to him, in his wife's arms. So I know, what these things, this sort of action can take place. I've been in situations where a dude's basically try to murder me, right? And there was no help around. Twice the size of me, actually 2.5 times the size of me. So very big, bigger than this a-hole, right? In the middle, late at night, in the dark, walking home, minding my own business, walking down the street, boom, knocked out. Come to, don't know how long, around the other side of the street in the dark, with a guy pounding on me. You're going, what the fuck? What I do? I'm just like minding my own business. So I know there's evil people in the world. But like a lot of people don't, on the left, like, oh, let's do kid gloves. At that time, if I had a gun, I would have shot the dude. If I had a weapon on me, I would have taken him out. See, unless people are put into those situations, they have no clue. But they're very armchair, spectators about how law enforcement and shit. But they're also, they are also shitbag cops. Like in every business, every life, every walk of life, as they say, and every occupation. Like you'll have pedophiles in churches, right? Because they know that's where it's easier to hunt down kids, because they get access to children. Wherever evil people will do evil things, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody's evil, but they are scumbags.
all this stuff together to put together an additional extortion attempt on us. Okay. So that's what they're doing. And he like, if you go to his channel, Reckless Ben, that's what he does. He just goes around and he does stupid things and he harasses people and he chops and screws up all of this footage. And that's all he's trying to do is get footage right now. He's just trying to get more footage to put more videos out there to get more clicks and likes. He has nothing to do with this case other than he just, and he was the one who vandalized the store over the weekend, along with Mr. Mansell, who's the original person who consigned it to a completely different entity, a different.
Vandalize like early on, I showed you the video, right, where like they put a sign up saying that this store is closed because the minifig store, whatever, Bricks and minifig stores didn't do it themselves. So people showing up for birthday parties that they'd arranged to have there. Let me find it. I think it's about here in this clip. And this was reported on by Fox News, Washington, D.C. And here it is. I think this is, actually, I'll just play it.
Because he doesn't like understand like the internet. But apparently he took it well, I guess. And he said it's like, it was the biggest
on the way. They are suing you partly for alleged stunts shown in your videos, including this, which is a banner you put on the store as they closed it. What is the latest advice from your legal team that you can mention to us?
So I don't know. They're trying to get me for damaging the store, is what they're claiming. However, the store was not damaged. We just tied it to a bush on the ground, and we tied it to like a pipe at the top. So we didn't damage the building. If anything, we just left an accurate sign on their building. They are permanently closed, and they closed down the store to avoid having to pay the family what was owed to them. So and here's the thing too, is they forgot. I wouldn't have had to do this if they would have just mentioned on Google and like Apple Maps that they were closed. But people were showing up every single day expecting an open store. And the worst part is people had already made deposits for birthday parties. So all the kids would show up for their birthday.
Which basically means they took the deposits and didn't refund their deposit either. So they continued to steal from them.
Then they would just have to sit in an empty
from people, right? From customers.
Parking lot for like their like 6-year-old kid's birthday, and it was just like depressing. So I was like, well, if they're not going to put on their Google that they're closed, then like I think I'm doing a public service to the public by putting this close down the store to avoid having to pay.
Yeah, that's not vandalism. There's no vandalism when you break shit, when you spray paint shit, right? When you actually mark the building, when you destroy property, not put a sign up saying permanently closed. We stole a family's life savings. We sued. We lost. By closing the store, we get out of having to pay the family what we owe them. And back to the Joshua police thing. Here we go. And all over Lego, by the way, the greed over not paying back what they owe people.
So they just know that, like, because that other person, that other party, they went bankrupt and don't have any money, they're just going after somebody else that they think they can just extort money out of.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you had, the store?
Okay, let's get to this readout from Grok. So Grok is saying, all right, my question was, what was the value of US company Bricks and minifigs prior to the YouTuber Brickless Band documentary release on YouTube currently? And goes, blah, 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 does not have a public disclosed official valuation. So it's a private company. I know that. I own a private company, right? Plunge Enterprises, which releases PlungeComics, is a privately owned company. Because that's how you protect yourself, right? You start up a company and you place your, what you're selling, creating under the company. So that the company, is what is responsible to making sure that the business side of things is taken care of. Even though you run it, right? As a director. So the company was operating as a franchise business with 100+ stores across US. According to their franchise disclosure, FDD, from 24 2024 to early 2025. Average revenue is about $580,000 per store. Top performing stores, 1.2 million. Estimated value for the documentary, rough industry estimates place the franchisor BAM franchising at $50 to $150 million. So it's, multiple millions of value, right? 50 to $150 million. This is based on franchisee fees, royalties about typically 5 to 7, and a network of stores. No official sale funding round or audited valuation is ever publicly released before the controversy. Now, context. The Reckless Band documentary released in late May 2026 caused massive negative publicity, boycotts, and lawsuits. So the thing here is boycotts. Anybody who's a collector, who's a Lego fan, won't be going back to the stores unless they personally know those franchisee people or have dealt with them fairly, or they have been dealt with fairly, right? But the fact that BAM franchising is the main corporate body, people will not deal with it anyway. So it harms the head office, and the head office having a valuation, right? They could have easily paid out and sorted the shit out 2 years ago, but now they're going to die on their sword, right? Then pay it. Now all this negativity, negative publicity, boycotts, and lawsuits, it's not good for them going forward. It hasn't been good for them for the last couple of weeks, right? So any valuation discussions after that are heavily affected by the scandal. Bottom line, there is no exact public, because it's a privately owned company, number for the company's value prior to the documentary. It was a successful mid-sized Lego specialty franchise change, but not a unicorn, whatever that means. What is a unicorn level company? All right. All right, so where is it? It was a successful mid-tier, right? So a unicorn company is around $1 billion. So it's nowhere close to $1 billion. Decacon is 10 billion. Hectacon is 100 billion, right? SpaceX and all that. ByteDance. Wait, isn't ByteDance Chinese owned? Yeah. But yeah, it's all that over, and look, at the end of the day, man, do you think, anybody in their right mind would be like, bro, just stop. You basically ruin not only your own image, but every single of those 100 stores that you have who are paying you 5 to 7% of their income, of their profit to exist, right? Harm, negative publicity, boycott, right? And let me see, how many of the franchisee stores of the BAM stores have received negative comments or reviews? Comments or reviews since the doco. Carry on with this. And
Or had any sort of lawsuit filed against them by this Ben Schneider or the Mansell?
So again, going on the fraud that the Marion County District Attorney's office is looking into, they filed multiple small claims court claims against.
Okay, back to this thing, right? I love how he incriminates himself, like with defamation. Both of them. That thing that really cracked me up. It's like how do you like not understand that what you're saying is being recorded because you got a cop standing there with body cam? Okay, so here's the current situation for Bricks and MiniFigs BAM stores about after the Reckless Band documentary. The documentary, yeah, as we know, released. Okay, but huge, massive backlash, right? Triggered a massive backlash. Not a small, a massive backlash. Exact number. There's no official count of how many stores have received negative reviews, comments. However, based on reports from franchise owners, Reddit, Facebook groups, and news coverage, dozens to over 100 stores have been affected. Many franchisees, even those far from Oregon, Utah, where this one was based, are reporting a sharp increase in one-star reviews on Google and Yelp, along with angry comments and messages. Why so many stores are hit? The company has 100 plus franchise locations across the U.S. Many customers are boycotting all, very important, remember I said about boycotting earlier, all BAM stores, not distinguishing between individual franchise owners or corporate. And this is what happens, right? When you have a big wig at the corporate office making allegations, lying, and seem to be, supporting one franchisee person who's actually is lying continuously and defaming and calling cops on people, private citizens, right? Well, the internet's going to do what the internet's going to do, right? The public's going to do what the public's going to do. So franchisee owners have publicly complained that innocent stores are getting review bombed due to confusion with the corporate controversy. Now, if you're a franchisee owner, what you need to go is to go to head office, go, listen, your bullshit is ruining my business. And so this month and any month until this situation is not handled, we're not paying our 5 to 7% fees for the franchise. You can go to court with me. You can take me to court, but I'm going to say that's 5 to 7%. You're not getting paid, right? Because where is it here? There it is. Because you are actually by being part of your store, you're damaging my income, my profits. And why should I then be paying you 5 to 7% to the head office? That's who should be paying for it, right? We're not going to pay for it, right? As long as we're getting the backlash, you're not gonna get your fees. And also, we're going to remove ourselves. If this carries on for the next another 6 months, we're going to go solo. And I've been part of a franchise store in my early days, when I was 27, mid-20s, late 20s, and our store had to go solo because the franchise owners basically came in a store, looked around. We had too many, we were paying like 1 to 2% franchisee fees, something like that, 1 to 5, I think it was, and they just pulled the plug on us and said, "No, you're no longer a part of us. Remove all our tiles and send them back to us, or we'll have somebody come and pick them up." Cool. So they took away all that, and so we went solo. The reason was that we weren't selling enough of their shit, and the problem was that when they moved into when we had corporate companies like wanting tiles for their stores, they would actually move into our city and supply those places with tiles rather than giving that, because it was in our city, right, in our area, we should have been responsible to get those jobs. They would take it to corporate office, and corporate would supply them, rather than giving those jobs to us. So we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars out because of that. And so we were only too happy to get rid of them at that point, because we're doing more sales with other people who were supplying them, other franchise stores that were like, would take their best selling tiles and sell them. So I've dealt with franchise shit, because the negatives and the positives of it, in like when I was 27, I'm 53 now, so half my life ago, right? But really, the only people that can put real pressure is the franchisees, because like, we're not going to pay you, we're not going to pay your fees anymore until you sort this out, until the court case is settled. We're just going to hold on to the 5 to 7% fees, because you're damaging our profit. You're damaging our livelihoods by this behavior that you have brought on. We haven't, right? And it's really sad. At the end of the day, all they had to do was like, which they agreed to, we'll take over and pay out what is owed to that gentleman and his family, and that's it. But they wanted to take this through for 2 years, and now they're destroying their company. Yeah, it's a private company. It's not a public share company. But even so, every store, right? Whereas like boycott, some observations, right? Some stores went from 4.7 to 4.9 stars to significantly lower ratings in just a few weeks. Common comments include boycott calls, accusations of theft, scamming, and demands for corporate accountability. A few stores have tried to distance themselves. We're independently owned and not affiliated with corporate franchises, right? So they're independently owned. So just take their name off, right? Spray paint over the friggin' Bricks and MiniFigs. Otherwise, you get tainted with the same brush, as they say. Excuse me. Forgot to put that back on the screen. Yes. Right. So it's asking me, would you like me to check reviews for a specific location or give details on the scale of the boycott? Okay. Roughly impacts 70 to 90 stores out of 100 locations. 0.1 to 1.5 stores in 2 to 3 weeks. Sudden flood of 1-star ratings, reviews, scam, stolen Lego, supporting thieves, boycott, bam. This is what's been left there in the reviews. Many reviews are clearly from people who have never stopped at that specific store. Pure review bombing. Yeah. That's sad, but that's on the corporate, right? When your corporate head office is seen as the thief, then it's going to, paint everybody. And it's sad. It is sad. It sucks. But they could have fixed this 2 years ago. But they wanted to steal the money, despite being valued at about $50 to $150 million annual revenue. So franchise owners in states far from the controversy, right? Florida, Texas, California also being hit. Oregon and Utah, closest to the main allegations, hit the hardest. Major metro areas with active major metro areas with active Lego communities, and we'll see that in a minute. I'm going to show you a little clip. Let me remove this, and let's get to a little clip. Where was it? Let me see if I can remember. Now I've forgotten what I was talking about. Damn, these freaking. It's weird. Like sometimes, like my concussion, my head injuries will like just make me forget things. So I was like, yesterday, I couldn't remember anything at all I remember that I had to do something. I thought I was gonna, I was supposed to do something important, and I totally forgot. Like I just couldn't remember at all. I was like, oh, it'll come back in 10 minutes. When I'm like, didn't come back. Hours later, didn't come back, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, and I was supposed to do yesterday, right? At all. This is why I'm trying to get as much done as I can now, because otherwise, I mean, like productivity wise, right? Get as much of my comics and stories out, because, what if I've total dementia sooner than normal, right? People usually get around about 70, 80s, 60s, 70s, whatever. But with my concussions, I'm probably going to end up with having it happen faster. So let me grab a. Yeah, let's play this video because I haven't played this one yet. And while I'm doing that, I'll try to remember what I was going to play before. Because yes, now I remember. But I'll play this while I go find the link. It has to do with major Lego YouTubers talking about it and the community hearing about it, and now everybody's picking up on this, right? On this whole thing. Better save my word before I do that. Okay.
Police department and released all the footage unredacted of my interactions with them. So this is the original footage I got with the redactions in, and this is the new unredacted footage. I'm lining them up, and I'm going to keep only the redacted parts to see what they were actually saying.
This ends today. I know. We're talking more.
Sadly, they weren't able to get the first 2 days where I was accused of having heroin on me. But the final 2 days, we were able to see a lot, actually. The footage starts with me going to Josh's house so I can serve him his legal court papers. Josh knows that if he goes to court with me, he's going to lose. So instead, a much easier option is he calls the police on me to prevent me from serving him.
His name is Ben Schneider. He's stalking my house. Will you come to my house, please, and come get them? I'm not going to have stalkers.
Are they there right now?
They're on the...
Can you hear this guy's voice? He's like a whiny little bitch. They're coming to my house right now. Can you come and help me, please? Dude. Even my worst hour don't sound like that. I had a guy on my doorstep threatening me. And I had to hold myself back because I was like, I was so angry. I was like, if I don't calm myself down, I'm just going to push him over the balcony. And he's going to end up with a cracked head. Because he had the gall to come up to my balcony, and at my doorstep and go yell at me and call me queer and say all these terrible things. And I was like, bro, if I don't control myself, and I'm in my, it's like losing it after about 2-3 months of dealing with a shitbag neighbor who'd come in the middle of COVID, by the way, right? He'd moved in, and then during COVID, you couldn't kick anybody out. So I had to deal with that for 2 months, and then I'm at my wit's end. So I see him waiting on his balcony, waiting for me to come down the driveway, right? Just so he could go off at me. So I go out, sit on the road, on the street, and call the cops. And I said to the cops, listen, man, this has been going on for so long. My landlord said next time, if just call the police because I can't do anything because of COVID, right? And so I do. So I follow the rules. And the cop comes in. I said, listen, dude. And I'm sitting, finally, one cop goes down, stops by, the car pulls up to me on the street and go, okay, tell us what's happening. I said, this is what's happening. And so, all right, come down with me. So I go in. And so he walks in with me to my house, comes inside my house. And while the other cop goes and talks to him, right? And so I sit down with the cop, and I tell him exactly what's happening with me. He's a young guy. He's about, 20 years younger than me. And I tell him, look, man, I've had many head injuries, and I have issues with anger, right? If you push me, you know, I have problems with trying to control my temper, and so I don't drink. I, don't do drugs. I try to, keep level, with my emotions because of head injuries. Because like, if you know anybody, it's like, if you know anybody with enough head injuries, you know that like your brain doesn't like it just can. It just starts. The stress levels just keep going higher and higher. So it's really, and I said to the cop, I said, listen, man, this is what my situation is right now. If you guys don't deal with this right now, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm at my wit's end right now. And, if he comes on my balcony again, I'm just going to push him over the edge, over the steps, just boom, over the balcony, over the, over what is that called? The railings? Yeah, the railings. I'm just gonna push it. I'm just letting you know, dude, you need to sort the shit out, or I'm just gonna do it, and I don't give a fuck at this stage. But I'm letting you know I'm gonna do it. All right? He goes, yeah, he goes, look, I understand. I know head injuries, got smashed over the head with it, during an altercation with with the domestic or whatever it was. He said, like, and I've having to deal with it, but it's been 6 months. I understand what it's like dealing with the concussions and shit. And I said, yeah, bro, like, I'm telling you, bro, I'm right there. And so, yeah. And so they dealt with it. The guy was removed, boomed. And so, like I said, even at that age, at that moment, I was not sounding like a whiny bitch with a guy on my doorstep threatening me, right? And me dealing with the cops face to face, right? After having to deal with that shitbag face to face. Because everybody's confined in the freaking houses. You can't leave during COVID, right? We're under, and this is why I despise the government that we had at that time, because like we're under rolling lockdowns, right? So okay, we'd be open in 4 months, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Oh no, we're gonna lock it down again. It's like we suffered so much because of that government. Right, and then she runs away without finishing her terms and represents New Zealand at the United Nations and gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars after ruining our country. So many businesses, man, were shut down. So many kids had their education ruined. So many people lost their jobs, careers. Had close friends of mine, very important roles, lost their jobs. Very high-paying jobs, lost their jobs. I was lucky because I worked for myself at my own company, right? But yeah, with this whiny bag, bro, listen to this dude.
I'm not gonna have stalkers.
Are they there right now?
They're on the side of the house.
One of the dispatchers made a note here saying that you were gonna shoot someone.
I'm done with this. Officer, can you please help me and my family and Nick?
Yeah, that's like nobody was turning up with anything. He's just making all this bullshit up because he's like trying to make up a thing. It's like make up, his case was stronger. Dude, you brought this on yourself because of your greed for money, right? I would be on your side if this wasn't what you had done, but this is what you have done. And now you're making everybody else go through the same situation, right? But you're faking it. But those people are going through the real thing because they had nothing to do with it. Yet all those other 100 plus stores are having to deal with that negativity because you chose to be a thief, a scammer, and a liar to steal a family's inheritance.
Yeah, absolutely.
She had a consignment deal with a guy named Brian Mansell. A year and a half, almost 2 years, she had this consignment deal with him and she never paid him.
So right away, Josh is lying to the police, which we can easily verify with all of the metadata timestamps pictures that show that the Lego sets were in the store when Josh took it over.
He's hired this YouTuber. His name is Ben Schneider. He's Reckless Ben. They sent people in saying they're going to murder our manager.
They hire, murder your manager. Dude, what the fuck are you on about? How do you know that Brian hired Reckless Ben? Are you privy to that conversation? Who cares if they did? But that's got nothing to do with what you guys have been doing for the past 2 years.
I'm done.
What are you guys doing here?
So we are in a court case with them, and we have to serve them legal papers.
She is a process server, and she's trying to serve you papers.
She's not a process server.
Okay.
Get the papers.
So how does he know? He doesn't even want to look at the papers. This is the thing about this dude. He just lies through his teeth. And I can't wait for the court case, bro. I can't wait for the court case. Let's just hope that Rakita doesn't jump on the bandwagon for this one as well. And then suddenly everybody's watching Rakita, giving 100,000 live stream views. Because that guy is just like another deadbeat who everybody, saw and chased after. And next thing is like his kids got cocaine in their bodies. And he's jerking on camera. But he's the guy everybody makes, they made him into a million. It's weird, how this is what I don't really understand is people are so gullible sometimes, right? That maybe it's autism that makes people gullible, but I thought autism makes people smarter. It's weird. It's I really don't understand the internet anymore. This is why I try to I keep to myself. Don't need to, I mean in public, right? I keep to myself now. But it's just just the more I see of how people behave, the less trustworthy I become. Trustful of people I become, not trustworthy. Trustful of people I become. The fact that he can say all this shit so proudly, so arrogantly, to make the police think that he's in the right, it's just vile.
Paper. They're fake. Go get the papers.
You're okay if I bring those over to you?
Absolutely.
Go. He's commanding the police. You go get the papers. It's I don't like this dude, man. Whenever I see things of people and it just, if I don't like them, it just turns me off them, and I can't watch any more of it. It's like Jeremy Hamley. I just can't handle him. I can watch the clips, but I could never sit through an entire series, or stream with him, because it's just there's nothing there. There's no sort of input into what he's saying. It's just reads the news and that's it. There's no sort of addition to it. It's just so lazy. And this, and this dude here is just lying. And it's it's like when it makes you feel icky, right? And then I don't want to be any more icky with these people. So we're at 2 hours and 22 minutes. So let's close off for today. But all this, man, seriously, go check out all these leaks, man. If you're interested in this, go check out Reckless Band's channel. But for the documentaries, I think 2 is supposed to drop soon. But also, if you got Patreon, go check out the Patreon and stuff. That's Reckless Band's there, and also there's Bam Sucks, which is the with all the leaks. There's lots of leaks, by the way, lots of leaks. And the 4 o'clock. We've got a stream coming up soon, right? So let me remove this, add a new one, but today at 4 o'clock there is a stream coming up, and we'll be streaming before this, right? So we should be finished before the stream comes up, which is going to be playing by Blinky Productions, American Crusader. Wait, 12 hours? What time is it now? Sorry. Wait. Hold on. Let me refresh this, because I think it's on. That was during my VPN, so it's it needs a refresh. 4 hours time. There we go. Look, right. So for 4 hours time, there is this this movie coming up made by it's like indie creator based on the American Crusader, which is a actually that reminds me, someone passed away today. Let me just show you this before we move on to that. This is Iranian, if I remember right, this is Iranian comic book graphic novelist, right? For Persephus. Persepolis, right? Marjane Satrapi. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this graphic novel. I've heard of it. I've wanted to read it. I had a digital copy of it a while back. I don't know if I still have it somewhere, but I did want to own this and read this. And it's about like the takeover of Iran, of a little girl living over the takeover of Iran by the Islamists, right? The corrupt Islamist system, which they're fighting right now. It's 6 months down, and they're still, the people are still fighting against their Muslim overlords, Islamist overlords, to throw, you can see the little girl, how they took over their country. And she talks about that. Let me do a quick Persepolis review thing, blurb. What is the graphic novel synopsis? It's been a while, right? I just saw that come across this just before, and I was like, oh man, it sucks. Because I haven't thought about that book for a while. But I was thinking of I'm not sure what I was thinking of. It's one of the top 100 graphic novels you must read before you die. It's in my book, in my hardcover version of that book, right? So that's the name of that. Please go, do check that book out. And now, okay, so this is a synopsis of it, right? The story begins in the 1980s in Tehran, shortly after the Islamic Revolution, which was about 70. Margie is a bright, outspoken 10-year-old girl from a progressive, politically active upper middle-class family. Through her eyes, we witness the overthrow of the Shah and the rise of the new Islamic Republic, which they've had to live for under 40 years now. All right. Almost 50 years. The brutal repression that followed, including executions, forced veiling of women, and the suppression of freedom of speech. The devastating Iran-Iraq War, 1980, 1988, with its bombings, food shortages, and loss of life. The growing hypocrisy and contradictions within the new regime. As Margie grows into a rebellious teenager, her outspoken nature and her family's progressive values put her in increasing danger. At age 14, her parents send her to Austria for safety, where she struggles with loneliness, cultural shock. It's like a biopic, right? Story about her own life, right? Identity issues and the challenges of growing up as an Iranian exile in the West. The story powerfully explores themes such as identity, oppression, feminism, family, resilience, and the loss of innocence during political upheaval. Originally published in 4 volumes in France, later collected into 1 or 2 omnibus editions. So it's, if you want to know what it was like to grow up as a kid in Iran during that time, it's a good book. Now, let me see if I can get some interior art, because I've always wanted to read it. Like I said, it's one of my it was written around 2000 to 2003. Where's artwork? Images. Yeah, this is the original cover. Let me just move out there, show you the. it's actually, it's actually one of those graphic novels that's worth reading because, based on a real person's experiences in life. So there's the one, with the red. So you can pick it up from Penguin House. It's $45 New Zealand, I guess. Yeah. How many pages? There's 2 volumes, so one of or a single volume, right? There's a complete version, right? Which collects both volume 1 and 2. Where's the art? I was looking at something. Yeah, it's right up there with Mouse, by the way. Yeah, that's how important this work is. It's a biopic. Is that what they call it when you like biography? Yeah, it's like a visual biography, right? Images, graphic novel. Wait, here we go. Here's some artwork. That's what I was like. That's something from Goodreads. I want to show you some art, interior art. And this is why I love all forms of sequential art and art styles. I don't care for everything looking like Marvel or DC, right? That's why I'm always supportive of any comic creator, indie comic creators putting their work out, right? Because all sequential art is picture, right? Drawings and text, speech bubbles. That's it. Panels. Very simple. Doesn't matter if it's a photo. Doesn't matter if it's like a stick figures. Doesn't matter if it's shapes. Not everything has to look like a fucking DC and Marvel comic book. So this is the write-up on Medium about it. There's a link for it to check it out. Like I said, it's in my big, huge hardcover book, 100 comics you must read, graphic novels you must read before you die. Let me see if I've got a version of that. It cost me around about $50 when I bought it, when I had my shop. So I bought it like so you could have it in the shop so I can show people which ones, what should I read? What do you think, what do you recommend? I say, well, what do you want? What's your interest in? Let me pull out my my big, huge book to show you, It's like 100 graphic novels you must read before you die. Hardcover. This is it here. There we go. This is my huge friggin'. It's actually on my shelf right now. But 1001. My bad. 1001. Right. That's with a manga hardcover. Oh yeah, it's manga and graphic novels and manga. So it's got the best of it, both worlds, all worlds. So it's 960 pages, by the way, and it's hardcover. It's gonna, it's quite a heavy book. Color interior. Oh, Terry Gilliam. Didn't even know he'd put a forward in it. Not that I read the forward, right? Because I'm just looking at what's in there. But yeah, it's a very good book. Look, 5 stars. Only one got 4.5. Insanely comprehensive after history. Wait, full what? After history of comic funnies. Fascinating resource. You must, if you're a comic book fan, or even just interested in it, it's a good book to pick up because it'll help you see what's out there and what is actually, what people are reading, what's popular, what's, what to, make up your mind about reading. Okay, so let's get back to that movie that I was going to tell you. It's going to start at 4 o'clock today, and I'm hoping that our live stream will finish before that. It is The American Crusader, and I wanted to, because it's like a, you know, it's a fan-made movie, right? And based on a public domain character, the American Crusader. And there's a good write-up by the gentleman there, right, about that. This is the character here about the story that he's telling us in this movie, you know, fan-made movie. As you can see here, this is sort of the character designs of the original Crusader. It's kind of like a rip-off version of Superman and Batman made into one. But later on, oh, that's the Crusaders. Later on, you know, they did a bit more fleshing out. And he said, I was reading the blurb on it, on his movie, you know, about the movie. And he said, you know, if you read it, if you've got time, a word from Chris about, you know, what his characters are and not villains and stuff, and how he went about deciding to write the script according to what he was thinking right over here under that. So yeah, so do check it out, and hopefully I'll be able to catch it while I'm working later after the stream. Notify me. All right, and if you're able, if you have the money, if you have the funds, as I say, please check out my Kickstarter on running right now, mine and Louise's and our artists, because we've all worked together on it to do covers and artwork and, you know, back this. I actually also, I made a mock-up with and it was brought to my knowledge by one of my friends from Australia yesterday that the freight costs were double on, like, were the same as like the where are we? Were the same on the, come on, show me what I got. Yeah, so the freight costs were the same for the comics as for the t-shirts, right? As for the larger ones, which I then went back and changed back. So it's like actually cheaper, like by almost 50% cheaper for freight costs outside of America, that is, right? So it was all the foreign costs were like horrendous. And I was like, wait, what the, oh man, I effed up, because, you know, it can be dearer for the, you know, putting a package together, like it's a certain amount, because if you, at the moment, if the value of something is over $150 or up to $150, it's a certain amount for freight, right? And so on. So anyway, I went through and I changed everything. So it'll be, I think it's only about $30 New Zealand for Australia, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, and so on, right? So the freight costs have gone down. So do go check it out if you're able, if you, you know, if it's something that interests you. It's for, you know, it's for teen plus. So I guess it isn't too violent for, you know, 10-year-olds, but, you know, being a former comic shop owner, I like to, you know, release our comics for certain age groups just to protect ourselves, right? Because I know that some people, you know, depending who, you know, how they bring up their kids, they don't care what sort of things their kids read, but I'm a bit, you know, I like to play it safe. So with that in mind, please go check it out. It's a story about a mom and son, mother who is a former monster hunter, right? And a son who, you know, who are on the run from her past monster hunter group, right? And they arrive in New Zealand after a violent situation in Australia, which we actually show you the 5 pages of them with the home invasion situation in Australia right at the start, so you can actually get an idea of what's happening, what the tone is of the story, you know, and so you can read the first 5 pages, you know, and decide whether this is something you want to support. Also, you know, there's a tip jar that always helps, right? If you don't want to back anything, that's cool. Just leave a couple bucks. Isn't going to break the bank. Or grab the digital, right? There's rewards and so on, but also just grab a digital cover, right? Digital version. It's only about $4 or something. I think it's under add-ons or stuff. Rewards. Also, a friend of mine has, and I forgot to mention this previously, he also has released, Justin, my friend Justin, has released a Kickstarter as well, part 2 of the Vault. You backed this. I know I backed this. Let me get to this other one. So he released issue 2. Wait, hold on. When did he release issue 2? I think it was. Wait. He released issue 1, I should say. Where is it? I can't see. Sorry, where released issue 1, but issue 2 has just been launched. Are you going to go? Hello? Oh, okay. Weird. All right. This is it here. It's issue 2. And I've interviewed Justin. Excuse me. I've interviewed Justin before on this channel, well, on the previous channel, but I think I've got his interview here about this on this channel somewhere. So this is issue 2 link if you want to support it. He's only got a $100 goal because I think he already prints ahead. He's like me, right? We always make sure that both of us already have our stuff ready, you know, 100% ready to go. So this is Vault issue 2. I don't think he has a trailer. So, but he's an artist and writer. And so you can see his work here. There's 2 different covers. Yeah, see, 100% done. Just like us. So yeah. Check that out. And I am gonna finish off here and get back to coloring this cover, color flatting this cover, and then I can so I can have send it off to Louise so he can finish the coloring, and while he waits for me to finish the, what's it supposed to be, purple eye, right? Making sure my angels have purple eyes. Headed blue here, and it's like, nope, that's not it. So yeah, so this is an interlocking cover A, which is part of Templeton #1. So all cover A covers, like the first covers, the general release covers, regular covers, is an interlocking cover. So as I mentioned on the previous stream, that there's 3 covers. I mean, 1, 2, 3 will be here, and then 1, 2, 3 at the bottom. So it'll make up one big picture, and it's a regular cover, which means it's the cheapest cover you can get, but it's also an interlocking cover. So if you buy all A covers, well, if you buy all regular covers, you'll end up, of the 6 issues, you'll end up with one big, huge interlocking image. And that's to do with this let me down that I'm lettering right now to send off to James to bring in the colored pages so I can send off to a PDF to James so you can see if all the files, all the art coloring is suited to his thinking, because he's the artist, right? But both myself and Louise are the colorist on this, so we're going to make sure that all the colors are the way that he's, he has thought them to be. So this is all done. We're just making sure that the coloring and colored pages, are lettered the right way and everything, which is what I'm doing right now. After I finish this little bit off here with the gray and the wings all being like yellow and gold, and the eyes, of course, being purple. That's the only little piece I got to finish off, and I got to send off to Louise. And then, go over and continue with like these pages here and get them lettered. So let me, where does it come here? So what I mean by that is I got to come in here and wait, what is that? Oh, okay, I see. Bring in the colored pages. Import page. Oh, it's the farm one. Okay. So issue 1. Louise final colors. There you go. So this is one of my early attempts at doing the back, the color flats, the basic, flat colors, and then Louise here going over that final pieces and coloring that. I just realized here that because I had my stupid gradients in there from night to day, day to night, it's actually gonna mess with my page arrangement somehow. So I've noticed that these are some touch-ups I got to do here because of that. So yeah, I'm going to have to basically go out and cut around that, get rid of the background, and then redo the background. Usually like, where are we? Right. Having the black there would have been better than having to have this freaking thing I added to it. But that is something I'll be doing later once I finish this freaking these angel tones for this cover. Kind of like this. I changed the colors a bit from what it was, because it looked a bit drab. So last night when I was working on this, I was like, oh yeah, we've got to make it a bit more flashy. And that is that. And we'll see you. Actually, let me put the link for the next stream we're doing later on with Tim in about an hour and 20 minutes time. Geez, I didn't expect to go for 3 hours almost. Wow. Let me get the link for the next stream so you guys can actually hit the notify button on that. And I want to thank our good friend Jason Bascom, who gave us this little clip that so I can reuse and over again.
First off, like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content in this channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Us smaller guys, we rely on the fans. You don't have to share out my book at all. Share out his YouTube. Get some subscribers here. Everybody, read comics. Comics are supposed to be a getaway and escape. And enjoyable, whether they're tragic or humorous or what may have you. Read them. you're supposed to read comics, everybody. And if you're buying a $400 comic, read it digitally. I don't know. Listen to good music, I guess, and be kind to each other and party on, dude.
Yes, sir. Wayne's World. Be excellent to each other. Oh no, Adventure. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Be kind to each other. Be excellent to each other. So this is the stream that's coming up next. Tim is leading that one in 80 minutes time. So we'll catch you soon. Have a good time, guys. Until then, be safe. Be excellent to each other wherever you are. We'll catch you on the next one. Kakete ano. Bye for now.
Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.